Olivia Harper took a deep breath, looked at the officiant, at the 200 people filling the Grand Rosewood Hotel ballroom, at her smiling groom standing before her, and said the most liberating word of her life: no. The silence that followed was so heavy it could have shattered the crystal chandeliers. Grandma Helen clutched her pearls in the third row. Aunt Margaret dropped her designer clutch, and Brad, the groom, got that expression of a puppy who'd just watched his owner throw the ball into traffic. What? What do you mean no? He stammered, his face draining of color. Olivia adjusted her cathedral veil, $4,000 from Kleinfeld's, wasn't going to waste it, and spoke with crystal clarity. Brad, you're decent enough. But I discovered you've been hooking up with our relationship coach, the same coach you insisted we hire. So absolutely not. The room erupted like champagne bottles popping simultaneously. Gasps, sobs. Someone actually applauded. Probably her college roommate, Sarah, always supportive of chaos. Brad's mother started fanning herself frantically with the ceremony program. Olivia grabbed her cathedral train, executed a perfect pivot, and started down the rose-petal-covered aisle. The string quartet was still playing Pachelbel. The musicians were so stunned they kept playing on autopilot. So Olivia strutted down to the soundtrack of her own freedom, nodding graciously at the scandalized guests. That's when the ballroom doors burst open and he walked in. Jackson Knight, 64. Custom Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than her student loans. A face that belonged on magazine covers, but somehow ended up in boardrooms instead. And those slate-gray eyes that made Wall Street executives check their portfolios twice. Olivia stopped dead in the middle of the aisle, because everyone in Manhattan's financial district knew 3 things about Jackson Knight. His private equity firm owned significant pieces of half the city. Nobody knew exactly how he built his empire so fast, and nobody dared to investigate. Her father owed him an astronomical amount of money, a terrifying amount of money, Miss Harper. His voice was velvet over steel. Perfect timing. You're already dressed for the occasion. What occasion? Olivia tried to sidestep him, but Jackson simply positioned himself between her and the exit. Your father owes me $2.8 million. The payment deadline was yesterday at 5 p.m. He proposed an unconventional settlement. Olivia's heart plummeted straight through her. Jimmy Choo's also expensive, also regrettable. What kind of settlement? Jackson's lips curved slightly. It wasn't a smile. It was the expression of a chess player announcing checkmate. You marry me. My father traded me? Technically, he offered your hand in marriage as collateral resolution for the debt. I found the proposal acceptable. The officiant is already here. The documentation is prepared. He glanced at his Audemars Piguet. Olivia recognized it because Brad practically worshipped watch blogs. We have 12 minutes before my legal ecclesiastical paperwork on your family's brownstone, the accounting firm, and your mother's art gallery. Olivia spun around. Her father sat in the first row wearing that, "I'm sorry, princess, but I made catastrophically bad investment decisions" expression. Her mother was crying into a monogrammed handkerchief. Her 10-year-old twin sisters looked utterly confused. You can't legally force me to marry you, she protested, whirling back to Jackson. Correct. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. The marriage duration of this arrangement. Jackson looked momentarily surprised that she was negotiating. Then that almost smile returned. 12 months. 1 full year of believable matrimonial performance. After that, a civilized divorce. You receive substantial compensation, and your family's debt is completely forgiven. Define believable matrimonial performance. Cohabitation, joint appearances at social functions, convincing our circles that we're genuinely enamored. No physical relationship, obviously. I'm not a barbarian. Olivia looked back at her family, at her little sisters who deserved to finish private school, at her mother who'd just gotten the gallery's first major exhibition, at her father who looked 20 years older than he had this morning. Damn it all. Fine, she said, each word costing her pride. But I have non-negotiable terms. Jackson raised one eyebrow. Apparently people didn't usually negotiate with Jackson Knight. separate bedrooms, complete personal freedom. And you fund my graduate degree at Columbia. Agreed. They locked eyes for a loaded moment. Olivia tried to project defiance. Jackson looked intrigued, amused. His expression was impossible to read. Then, let's get this over with, Olivia muttered, turning back toward the ceremony space. That's when she remembered Brad was still standing there, frozen, mouth hanging open, face now resembling a cranberry. Olivia, you can't Hess Jackson Knight. Hess successful entrepreneur, Jackson interjected smoothly, walking past Brad like he was furniture. Unlike you, who's a fitness instructor with commitment issues. This is my venue now. Please leave. I acquired this hotel 3 months ago. Diversification strategy. He extended his hand toward Olivia, not quite touching. Shall we, my bride? Hello. I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. He smelled like boardrooms and dangerous secrets. I dislike you intensely, she whispered. The sentiment is entirely mutual, he whispered back. Your dress has too many layers. Your suit is aggressively expensive. Your veil is crooked. Your tie pin is ostentatious. Dear friends, the officiant interrupted nervously, shall we begin? And that's how Olivia Harper, on the same day she rejected a cheating fiancé, accepted a proposal from a perfect stranger. When Jackson kissed her to seal their arrangement, a brief contractual kiss, completely devoid of emotion, Olivia had exactly one thought. This will be the longest year of my entire existence. She had absolutely no idea how right she was or how wrong. Jackson Knight's penthouse looked like it had been designed by someone who won Most Intimidating Living Space 3 years running. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Central Park, furniture that was probably illegal to sit on without a net worth of 8 figures, and abstract art that Olivia was convinced was just expensive scribbles. This is where you live? She asked. Still wearing her wedding dress, because there'd been zero time to change before being contractually married to a stranger. Technically, it's where we live now, Jackson corrected, removing his tie while walking. A house manager appeared from nowhere like house managers do and accepted the tie as if it were a sacred artifact. Your suite is on the 2nd level, East Wing, Jackson continued without breaking stride. My suite is West Wing. There are approximately 45 feet and 2 security doors between us. You'll find that adequate. Adequate? This place is bigger than my entire childhood home. Your childhood home is now serving as collateral on a loan. This penthouse is paid for. See the difference? Olivia's hands clenched into fists. The wedding ring platinum band with diamonds appeared on her finger during the ceremony. Felt like a shackle. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Jackson finally turned to look at her. Really look at her. His gray eyes swept from her disheveled veil to her death grip on her bouquet shed, forgotten she was still holding it. Enjoying watching someone process shock? Not particularly. He gestured toward the staircase. Mrs. Chen will show you to your room. Everything you'll need has been prepared. How did you prepare everything? We got married 45 minutes ago. I'm efficient. You're creepy. That too. An elegant woman in her 50s materialized beside Olivia. Mrs. Chen had that energy of someone who'd seen everything and was impressed by nothing. Miss Harper, she said warmly, I'm the house manager. Let me show you to your suite. I'm sure you'd like to get out of that dress. You have no idea, Olivia muttered, following her up the marble staircase. Mrs. Chen led her down a hallway that belonged in a museum. Original paintings lined the walls. The carpet was so plush, Olivia's heels sank into it. Mr. Knight can be intense, Mrs. Chen said diplomatically, but he's fair, and his word is binding. That's supposed to be comforting? In this world? Absolutely. Mrs. Chen opened double doors, revealing a suite that made Olivia's jaw drop. A bedroom the size of her old apartment. A walk-in closet already filled with clothes in her exact size, which was definitely creepy. A bathroom with a soaking tub that could fit 3 people. How did he know my size? Olivia whispered. Mr. Knight is thorough in his research. Your measurements were in your social media photos from last summer's beach vacation. He has people who calculate these things. That's definitely creepy. Missus. Chen smiled. That's preparation. There's a difference. Now, dinner is at 7. Mr. Knight prefers punctuality. What if I'm not hungry? Then you can watch him eat. But it's lobster risotto tonight, so I'd reconsider. After Mrs. Chen left, Olivia spent 20 minutes just getting out of the wedding dress. The thing had 47 buttons. Shed needed Brad's sister to button her into it this morning. Now she was contorting herself like a pretzel trying to undo them. Finally, she gave up and used scissors from the desk. $4,000 dress sacrificed. Freedom priceless. She found jeans and a cashmere sweater in the closet, both designer, both perfect fits, both creepy, and went downstairs at 7:02 p.m. just to make a point. Jackson was already seated at a dining table that could host a UN summit. Head changed into dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking like a cologne advertisement come to life. "You're late," he said without looking up from his phone. "You're annoying," Olivia shot back, sitting down at the opposite end of the table. 20 feet separated them. It felt appropriate. A staff member served the lobster risotto. It smelled incredible. Olivia's stomach growled audibly. "When's the last time you ate?" Jackson asked, finally looking at her. "This morning. I was too nervous to eat lunch before Brad's wedding. Our wedding happened too. You could at least acknowledge it. I'm trying to forget it. Unfortunately, you signed legal documents. Forgetting isn't an option." They ate in hostile silence for several minutes. The risotto was annoyingly the best thing Olivia had ever tasted. "So," she said finally, "what exactly does this believable matrimonial performance involve?" Jackson set down his fork with precision. "Starting Monday, you'll accompany me to business dinners, Wednesday evening galas, weekend charity events. We need to be seen together looking appropriately enamored." "Enamored? I barely tolerate you." "Then you'll need to improve your acting skills. My reputation depends on this marriage appearing genuine." "Your reputation? What about mine?" "Your reputation as woman who dumped her fiancé at the altar and immediately married a billionaire. You're already Manhattan's favorite piece of gossip. Might as well own it." Olivia threw her napkin on the table. "I didn't dump Brad to marry you. You blackmailed me. I presented you with options. You chose the one that protected your family. That's called making a difficult decision, not blackmail. You're impossible. Impragmatic. There's a difference." Olivia stood up so fast her chair screeched against the floor. "I need air. The terrace is through those doors." She stormed out onto a terrace that overlooked Central Park. The Manhattan skyline glittered like scattered diamonds. The evening breeze cooled her flushed face. She heard footsteps behind her. "I'm not going to apologize," Jackson said quietly. "I didn't ask you to, but I will explain." He stood beside her, not too close, maintaining careful distance. "Your father made catastrophically bad investments. He came to me 6 months ago. Desperate. I gave him time to secure funding elsewhere. He couldn't. 3 weeks ago he proposed this arrangement." Olivia turned to stare at him. 3 weeks. You've been planning this for 3 weeks? I don't make decisions impulsively. I researched you. Columbia graduate marketing degree, currently between jobs. Relationship with Brad showing cracks for months. You investigated me. I investigate everyone I do business with. And this," he gestured between them, "is business. Nothing more. You researched me, but I know nothing about you." Jackson's expression shifted. Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement? Challenge? "Then ask." "Ask what?" "Ask me questions." "Fair is fair." Olivia crossed her arms. "Fine. How did you make your money?" "Started a tech company at 23. Sold it at 27 for $80 million. Used that to fund my private equity firm. Now I acquire undervalued companies, restructure them, and sell them at profit. That's the official story. What's the real one?" His eyebrow raised. "You think I'm hiding something?" "Everyone in Manhattan thinks you're hiding something." Jackson stepped closer. close enough that Olivia could see gold flecks in his gray eyes. "I'm good at seeing value where others see failure," he said softly. "I'm good at fixing broken things. And I'm very, very good at getting what I want. And you wanted a fake wife. I wanted to solve a problem. You were the most elegant solution." They stood there, the city lights casting shadows across both their faces. Olivia's heart was doing something complicated and annoying in her chest. "I still hate you," she whispered. "I know," he whispered back. "This year is going to be miserable, probably. I'm not going to make this easy for you. I wouldn't respect you if you did." Olivia's phone buzzed 17 texts from friends, 43 Instagram notifications, her mother calling for the 5th time. "I should," she gestured vaguely at the phone. "Handle your social fallout. I understand." Jackson turned to leave, then paused. "Olivia. What, the scissors you used on your dress? They're antique, 18th century, worth about $6,000. Her eyes widened in shock. Jackson's lips curved into his first real smile of the day. "Worth it for the look on your face right now." He left her alone on the terrace, simultaneously furious and laughing, and completely confused about which emotion should win. Inside, Mrs. Chen was waiting with a cup of tea. "How bad is it?" Olivia asked. "You're trending on page 6. 3 gossip blogs have theories. And someone started a Reddit thread about your dress change. Fantastic. Mr. Knight finds the attention amusing." "Of course he does." Mrs. Chen patted her hand. "You'll survive this, dear. You're tougher than you look. I can tell." "How?" "You cut up a $4,000 dress without hesitation. That takes courage," she smiled. "Or excellent priorities." That night, Olivia lay in her enormous bed, in her enormous room in this enormous penthouse, staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Sleep well, Mrs. Knight. Tomorrow we shop for your wardrobe. 9 a.m. Don't be late. JK." She typed back, "I hate you." His response came instantly, noted. 9 a.m. Olivia threw her phone across the room. It landed on a plush chair, completely undamaged because even the furniture here was trying to annoy her. 1 year, 12 months, 365 days of Jackson Knight. She was going to lose her mind or something far more dangerous. Olivia arrived downstairs at 9:03 a.m., wearing the most deliberately casual outfit she could find in her new closet. Ripped jeans, an oversized Columbia sweatshirt, and sneakers. Jackson stood by the elevator in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than a used car, looking at his watch. 3 minutes late, he observed. "I'm practicing my rebellion," she replied sweetly. "How am I doing?" "Poorly." Real rebellion would have been not showing up at all. "There's still tomorrow." His lips twitched, almost a smile. "The car is waiting." The car turned out to be a black SUV with a driver, tinted windows, and leather seats that felt like sitting on a cloud made of money. "Where exactly are we going?" Olivia asked as Manhattan blurred past the windows. "Fifth Avenue. You need a wardrobe that matches your new situation." "I have clothes. An entire closet full that magically appeared." "You have basics. You need statement pieces. People will be watching us, analyzing every detail. Your appearance reflects on both of us now." "How romantic." "I'm a reflection of your brand." "Precisely." Olivia turned to glare at him. "Do you ever say anything that isn't calculated?" Jackson met her gaze steadily. "No." "That's sad." "That's successful." The SUV stopped in front of a boutique that didn't even have a sign, just a sleek black door with a small brass number. The kind of place where you needed an appointment 6 months in advance, or a net worth with too many zeros. A woman in head-to-toe black greeted them at the door. She looked like she judged people's souls for a living and found them lacking. "Mr. Knight, right on time." Her eyes swept over Olivia with the precision of an MRI machine. "And this must be the bride." "Charming." The word charming sounded like an insult wrapped in cashmere. "Olivia, this is Dominique Laurent. She has dressed every first lady since the 80s. Only the fashionable ones," Dominique corrected. "Come, we have much work to do." For the next 2 hours, Olivia was poked, measured, draped, and critiqued. Dominique circled her like a shark evaluating prey. Your shoulders are good, your posture needs work. Do you exercise? I run sometimes. Running is for people being chased. You need Pilates. I'll send you my instructor's contact. Jackson sat in a leather chair, working on his laptop, occasionally glancing up to approve or reject outfits. A simple nod meant yes. A slight headshake meant no. Olivia felt like a doll being dressed by a very expensive, very judgmental child. This one? Dominique held up a midnight blue gown that looked like liquid sapphire for the Carmichael Foundation Gala next Saturday. That costs more than my car, Olivia whispered. Your car is being replaced, Jackson said without looking up from his screen. I'm buying you a new one. That Honda is a safety hazard. My Honda is fine. Your Honda has 200,000 miles and a check engine light that's been on since 2019. Mrs. Chen told me. Mrs. Chen is a traitor. Mrs. Chen is observant. There's a difference. Dominique snapped her fingers. Focus, please. Try this on. The dressing room was bigger than Olivia's first apartment. She stepped into the gown and it fit like it had been designed specifically for her body, which, knowing Jackson's thoroughness, it probably had been. She emerged from the dressing room and Jackson's fingers stopped moving on his keyboard. He looked up, really looked. For 3 full seconds, he just stared. Well? Olivia demanded, uncomfortable under his scrutiny. It's acceptable, he said finally, returning to his laptop, but his jaw had tightened. His knuckles had gone white on the keyboard. Dominique smiled knowingly. Well, take it. And the silver one, and the emerald and the black with the open back. That's too many. Mr. Knight is paying. Nothing is too many. By the time they finished, Olivia had 14 new dresses, 8 cocktail outfits, countless accessories, and a headache from Dominique's relentless criticism. Your new wardrobe will be delivered this afternoon, Dominique said, air-kissing Jackson's cheeks. She has potential with work. In the car, Olivia slumped against the window. That woman terrifies me. She should. She once made a senator cry. Why did you choose her? Because she's the best, and I don't accept anything less. Olivia turned to look at him. He was staring out his own window, jaw tight, shoulders tense. What's wrong? Nothing. You're lying. You do this thing with your jaw when you're bothered. He turned to face her, surprised. We've known each other less than 24 hours. You don't know my tells. I'm observant. There's a difference. His eyes narrowed, but there was something almost like respect in them. I have a business dinner tonight, 7 p.m. You'll need to attend. What kind of business? The kind where old men judge whether I'm stable enough to manage their investments. A wife helps with that image. So I'm a prop. You're a strategic asset. Wow. You really know how to make a girl feel special. I'm not trying to make you feel special. I'm trying to make you understand our arrangement. The car pulled up to the penthouse. Olivia didn't move. Jackson. Yes. That dress, the blue one. You said it was acceptable. Your face said something different. His expression closed off immediately. Back to the unreadable mask. My face said nothing. See you at 6:30. Don't be late. He exited the car and disappeared into the building. Olivia sat there for a moment, replaying that 3-second stare in her mind. Her phone buzzed text from her best friend Rachel. Girl, you're all over Instagram. Did you actually marry Jackson Knight? Call me now. She typed back. It's complicated, Rachel. Complicated? You married a billionaire the same day you dumped Brad. That's not complicated. That's insane. Olivia, can we talk later? I have a business dinner. Rachel, a business dinner. Listen to yourself. You sound like a corporate wife. Olivia stared at that text. Corporate wife. Strategic asset. Reflection of his brand. Is that all she was now? That evening, Olivia wore a black cocktail dress from the new wardrobe, simple, elegant, boring. She paired it with the diamond earrings that had appeared in her jewelry box. Another creepy but thoughtful Jackson move. Mrs. Chen helped with her hair, sweeping it into a sophisticated updo. You look beautiful, dear. I look like someone I don't recognize. Sometimes that's necessary to become who we're meant to be. That sounds like fortune cookie wisdom, Mrs. Chen smiled. I've been with Mr. Knight for 5 years. I've seen him date models, actresses, socialites. He looked at all of them the same way, like attractive furniture. Your point? He didn't look at you like furniture today. He looked at you like you were dangerous. Dangerous how? Like you might actually matter. Before Olivia could process that, Jackson appeared in the doorway, black suit, black tie, looking like head stepped out of a spy movie. Ready? As ill ever be. In the car, he briefed her like a general preparing for battle. Richard Ashford, 72, old money, conservative values. Hess considering investing $50 million with my firm. He needs to believe I'm stable, settled, family-oriented. So I smile and act devoted, essentially. Sounds simple enough. It won't be. His wife, Eleanor, will interrogate you. She's sharper than he is. She'll ask about how we met, our plans for children, where we'll live. Children? We're not having children, but she doesn't know that. So you'll smile and say we're taking our time, enjoying being newlyweds first. Olivia's stomach twisted. This feels dishonest. This is dishonest. That's the arrangement, right? The arrangement. The restaurant was the kind of place where they don't list prices on the menu because if you need to ask, you can't afford it. Chandeliers dripped crystal. Everyone wore designer everything. Richard and Eleanor Ashford were already seated. Richard's silver hair, expensive suit, the posture of someone who'd never worried about money. Eleanor perfectly coiffed, pearls, eyes that missed nothing. Jackson. Richard stood, shaking hands firmly. And this must be the bride we'd been reading about. Olivia Harper, she said, extending her hand. Well, Olivia Knight now. Eleanor's eyes sparkled. My dear, you caused quite the scandal, jilting one groom and marrying another in the same day. How deliciously dramatic. It wasn't exactly planned, Olivia said carefully. The best love stories never are, Eleanor replied. Tell me everything. How did you two meet? Olivia panicked. They hadn't discussed this. She glanced at Jackson. He smoothly took her hand on the table. His touch was warm, steady. We met 6 months ago at a charity auction. I bid on a date with him, Olivia improvised. He was being auctioned off for the Children's Hospital benefit. Jackson's eyebrow rose slightly, but he rolled with it. She outbid 3 other women, cost her $5,000. Best money I ever spent, Olivia said, squeezing his hand probably harder than necessary. And you fell in love immediately? Eleanor pressed. Not immediately, Jackson said. She thought I was arrogant. I still think you're arrogant, he smiled. Actually smiled. And I thought she was impulsive and naive. I'm still impulsive and naive. Yes, but now you're my impulsive and naive. The way he said my made Olivia's heart do something acrobatic and stupid. Eleanor laughed delightedly. Oh, you two are perfect. The way you bicker true love. Richard nodded approvingly. Jackson, you've done well. A smart, beautiful woman who keeps you humble. That's rare. The dinner continued. Olivia and Jackson played their roles flawlessly, touching hands, sharing smiles, finishing each other's sentences. To everyone watching, they were newlyweds blissfully in love. But under the table, Jackson's hand gripped hers tightly, and Olivia gripped back, not because they had to, but because somehow in the middle of this elaborate lie, his touch felt like the only real thing in the room. When they finally left the restaurant, Richard had committed $40 million to Jackson's firm. In the car, they sat in loaded silence. You did well, Jackson said finally. So did you. The charity auction story was quick thinking. You started it. I just followed your lead. We're a good team at lying, yes. Another silence. Jackson. When you called me yours, did you mean it? He turned to look at her. In the dim light of the car, his eyes were unreadable. Does it matter? Maybe. This is an arrangement, Olivia. Nothing more. Right. The arrangement. But neither of them let go of the other's hand for the entire ride home. The Carmichael Foundation Gala was exactly the kind of event Olivia had only seen in movies. Crystal chandeliers the size of compact cars, women dripping in jewels that could fund small countries, men in tuxedos discussing mergers over champagne that cost more per bottle than most people's monthly rent, and Olivia wearing that midnight blue gown that had made Jackson stop typing. "Stop fidgeting," he murmured, his hand at the small of her back as they entered the ballroom. "I'm not fidgeting. You've adjusted your earring 4 times in the last minute. Maybe my earring is actually bothering me. Or maybe you're nervous." She turned to glare at him. He looked unfairly good in his tuxedo hair, perfectly styled, that confident smile that made people want to either trust him with their life savings or run screaming. Sometimes both. "I'm not nervous. I'm just surrounded by people who think caviar is a personality trait." His lips twitched. "That's actually funny. Don't sound so surprised. I can be funny. I'm learning that along with several other unexpected things about you." Before she could ask what that meant, a couple approached them. The woman was stunning, tall, blonde, wearing a red dress that defied physics and probably several laws of decency. "Jackson," she purred, kissing both his cheeks in that European way that seemed designed to make other women feel inadequate. "I heard the most ridiculous rumor that you got married." "Not a rumor," Jackson said smoothly, his hand tightening slightly on Olivia's back. "Olivia? This is Victoria Ashworth. We dated briefly 2 years ago." "Victoria, my wife, Olivia." The word wife coming from his mouth did something strange to Olivia's stomach. Victoria's smile could have frozen vodka. How unexpected. Jackson always said marriage was for people who lacked imagination. "I found someone who changed my mind," Jackson replied, pulling Olivia closer. "How romantic." Victoria's tone suggested it was anything but. "And you, Olivia, what do you do?" The question was clearly designed to make her feel small. Olivia recognized the tactic from her college sorority days. "I'm in marketing, currently taking time to complete my graduate degree at Columbia." "Oh, how sweet a student." Victoria sipped her champagne. Jackson does love his charity cases. Olivia felt her blood pressure spike. But before she could respond, Jackson did something unexpected. He turned to face her fully, blocking Victoria entirely from his view, his hand moving from her back to her waist. "Victoria, if you'll excuse us. I'd like to dance with my wife." He led Olivia to the dance floor without waiting for a response. "I could have handled her," Olivia muttered, as his arm wrapped around her waist, her hand finding his shoulder. "I know you could have. But I wanted to dance with you, liar. You wanted to escape her." "That too." They moved together surprisingly well. Jackson was an excellent dancer, smooth, confident, leading without forcing. Olivia had taken ballroom classes in college for an easy credit. She'd never imagined using those skills while fake married to a billionaire. "She's beautiful," Olivia said, hating how small her voice sounded. "Victoria?" "Yes. Beautiful and completely exhausting. Dating her was like owning a very expensive car that constantly needed maintenance. Romantic. We weren't romantic. We were convenient. And what are we?" Jackson's gray eyes met hers. They were closer than they'd ever been. His face inches from hers. One hand spanning her waist, the other holding hers. "Complicated," he said quietly. The music swelled. They turned, her dress swirling around them like liquid midnight. People were watching. Olivia could feel eyes on them, could hear the whispers. "They're all staring," she whispered. "Let them. We're the most interesting thing in this room." "You're the most interesting thing. I'm just the girl foolish enough to marry you. Nothing foolish about it. You made a calculated decision to protect your family. And you made a calculated decision to acquire a wife?" "Yes." "Do you ever make decisions that aren't calculated?" His hand tightened on her waist. "Once. It ended badly. Tell me why. Because I want to know something real about you. Something that isn't a business strategy or a carefully constructed image." The song ended. Another began. They kept dancing. "Her name was Melissa," Jackson said finally, his voice barely audible over the music. "I met her in college. Before the money. Before any of this. I thought she loved me for who I was. She didn't. She loved who she thought I'd become. When I sold my company for 80 million, she suddenly had opinions about how I should invest it, who I should network with, what kind of house we should buy. What happened? I proposed. She said yes. Then I found out she'd been sleeping with my business partner, trying to get information about my finances. Olivia's breath caught. That's awful. That's reality. People want what you have, not who you are. Is that why you agreed to this arrangement? Because it's honest about being fake? He looked at her, then really looked at her with something raw in his eyes. Maybe. I'm not Victoria or Melissa or whoever else hurt you. I know. Do you? Because you treat me like I'm going to betray you any second. I treat everyone that way. That's sad, Jackson. That's survival. The song ended. They stopped moving but didn't separate. His hand was still on her waist, hers still on his shoulder, standing in the middle of the dance floor like they were the only two people in the room. Mr. Knight, a booming voice interrupted. A large man in an expensive tuxedo approached, hand extended. Charles Piton. We met at the Morgan Stanley event last month. Jackson's expression shifted instantly back to the polished professional mask. Charles. Good to see you. This is my wife, Olivia. For the next hour, they worked the room together. Jackson introduced her to investors, board members, old money families who'd been wealthy since the Mayflower. Olivia smiled, made small talk, laughed at jokes that weren't funny, and played the role of devoted wife. She was good at it, maybe too good. Every time Jackson's hand found her back, she leaned into it. Every time someone asked how they met, she embellished their fake story with small details that made it feel real. By the end of the night, they'd told the charity auction story so many times that Olivia almost believed it herself. Almost. They were getting champagne when Olivia's phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Olivia, sweetheart. Your father wants to see you. Can you come by the house tomorrow? We need to talk about everything. Her stomach dropped. What's wrong? Jackson asked, noticing her expression change. My parents want to see me tomorrow. Makes sense. You haven't spoken to them since the wedding. Our forced wedding that happened because Dad gambled away their future. You're angry with him. I'm furious with him. He sold me to pay his debts. Technically, he offered Don't do the technically thing right now. Jackson studied her face. Do you want me to come with you? Why would you do that? Because facing angry parents alone is miserable. I have experience with that. Your parents were angry with you? My father disowned me when I dropped out of Harvard to start my first company. Called me a fool and an embarrassment. We didn't speak for 3 years. I'm sorry. Don't be. He called me back when I made my first million. I hung up on him. Jackson's jaw tightened. Some relationships aren't worth saving, but mine with my parents is. Despite everything, they're still my family. Then I'll go with you as your husband. Isn't that what husbands do? Olivia wanted to remind him that he wasn't really her husband, that this was all pretend. But standing there in her expensive dress at his expensive gala, playing pretend so convincingly that she sometimes forgot what was real, she just nodded. Okay, thank you. They left the gala at 11. In the car, Olivia kicked off her heels and groaned. These shoes are torture devices disguised as fashion. They looked incredible. You noticed my shoes? I noticed everything about you tonight. Her heart did that stupid acrobatic thing again. Jackson, yes, when we were dancing you said we're complicated. What did you mean? He was quiet for a long moment. The city lights streaked past the windows. The driver had the privacy screen up, giving them the illusion of privacy. I meant that this was supposed to be simple. A business arrangement with clear terms and an exit strategy. And now you argue with me over breakfast. You deliberately show up late just to irritate me. You cut up expensive antique scissors and don't apologize. Hello. I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. Olivia stood in the hallway for a long time, her heart pounding, her mind racing, everything feeling too real and too fake all at once. The next morning, they drove to her parents' brownstone in Brooklyn. Olivia wore jeans and a sweater, trying to feel like herself again. Jackson wore slacks and a button-down, looking effortlessly perfect as always. "You ready for this?" he asked as they climbed the front steps. "No, but let's get it over with." Her mother opened the door before they could knock. She looked older than Olivia, remembered tired, worried. "Olivia," she breathed, pulling her into a hug. "Sweetheart, I've been so worried." "I'm fine, Mom." Her mother pulled back, studying her face, then turned to Jackson. "Mr. Knight, thank you for everything. Mrs. Harper." He shook her hand formally. Inside, her father sat in his usual chair. He looked smaller, somehow defeated. When he saw Olivia, he stood. "Princess Don't call me that. You don't get to call me that anymore." "Olivia, you sold me, Dad. You gambled away everything, couldn't fix a bee, and you sold me to pay your debts." Her father's face crumpled. "I didn't know what else to do. They were going to take the house, your mother's gallery, everything we've worked for. So you traded me instead? I thought Mr. Knight seemed honorable. I thought he'd treat you well. It was only for a year." "Only?" Olivia's voice cracked. "Do you have any idea what you've done to my life?" Jackson stepped forward, his hand finding Olivia's shoulder, a gesture of support. "Mr. Harper," his voice calm, controlled, "your daughter has every right to be angry. What you did was unconscionable, but what's done is done. The question is, how do we move forward?" Her father looked at Jackson with something like hope. Is she okay? Are you treating her well?" "I'm standing right here," Olivia snapped. "You can ask me directly. Are you okay, Princess?" Olivia wanted to scream, to rage, to make him hurt the way she hurt, but looking at him, at his gray hair and worried eyes and the way he'd aged 10 years in the past week, she couldn't. "I'm managing," she said finally. "Jackson's keeping his word. Separate bedrooms. Mutual respect. It's not what I wanted, but it's not terrible. I'm so sorry," her father whispered. "If I could go back, but you can't." Olivia's voice hardened. "You made your choice. Now I'm living with the consequences." Her twin sisters appeared in the doorway. Emma and Sophie, 12 years old, looking scared and confused. "Liv?" Emma asked quietly. "Are you really married?" Olivia's heart broke a little. "Yeah, I am." "To him?" Sophie pointed at Jackson. "To me," Jackson confirmed. "Im Jackson, you must be the famous twins I've heard about." "We're not famous," Emma said. "You're famous to Olivia. She talks about you constantly." Both Olivia and the twins looked surprised. "You do?" Sophie asked. "She does," Jackson interrupted smoothly. "She told me about your soccer championship last spring, Emma. And Sophie, she showed me your art portfolio. You're talented." Sophie's eyes went wide. "Really? Really?" He pulled out his phone, showing them something. "In fact, I have a friend who runs a youth art program at the Museum of Modern Art. They're always looking for promising young artists. Would you be interested? Are you serious?" Sophie practically bounced. "Completely serious." "I'll make the introduction." Olivia stared at him. When had he looked at Sophie's art portfolio? When had he learned about Emma's soccer? Had he been researching her family the same way Head researched her? Her mother invited them to stay for lunch. It was awkward, but bearable. Jackson charmed her sisters, discussed art restoration with her mother, and somehow got her father talking about vintage cars. By the end of it, her family was almost comfortable with him. In the car on the way back, Olivia finally spoke. "Thank you." "For what?" "For coming. For being kind to my sisters. For not making this worse than it had to be. They're important to you. That makes them important to this arrangement." "Right. The arrangement. When did you look at Sophie's art portfolio, Mrs. Chen mentioned it. I had her send me photos. And Emma's soccer? I read your social media. You posted about her championship in May. You really do research everything. I told you. I don't make uninformed decisions. Is that what I am? An informed decision?" He turned to look at her. "You're becoming something I didn't plan for." "What's that?" "Someone I actually like having around." It shouldn't have felt like such a victory, but it did. That night, Olivia couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the weekend, the gala, the dancing, the conversation about Melissa, the way Jackson had defended her to Victoria, the way Head researched her sisters. At 2 a.m., she gave up and went downstairs for water. The kitchen lights were already on. Jackson sat at the counter, laptop open, coffee mug beside him. "Can't sleep either?" she asked. He looked up, surprised. Head taken off his shirt at some point, wearing only pajama pants. Olivia tried very hard not to notice his shoulders. She failed. Dealing with some contracts for an acquisition in Singapore. At 2 a.m., time zones are different there. She poured herself water, then sat at the counter across from him. The marble felt cool under her arms. "Can I ask you something?" "You're going to anyway. Why did you really agree to this? Be honest. It's not just about my father's debt. You could have taken the house and moved on." Jackson closed his laptop, studied her face. "Because your father told me about you, about how you graduated top of your class, how you turned down corporate jobs to help launch your best friend's startup, how you spent weekends volunteering at youth centers, how you wanted to do meaningful work, not just make money. And I thought someone like that, someone who actually cares about things, maybe marrying her, wouldn't be the worst business decision I've ever made. I'm a business decision. You started as one." He paused. "You're becoming something else." "What?" He stood, walking around the counter until he was standing in front of her. Close. Too close. "I don't know yet. That's the problem, Jackson. When we were dancing tonight, when my hand was on your waist and you leaned into me, that wasn't acting, was it?" Her breath caught. I don't know." "Yes, you do. Fine. No, it wasn't acting." "Good. Good? Because I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. About you in that dress, about the way you feel when we're close. About how this arrangement is starting to feel less like business and more like..." "Like what?" He leaned in, his hand coming up to cup her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. "Like something dangerous. We agreed no physical relationship." "I know what we agreed." "Then why are you looking at me like that?" "Because agreements can be renegotiated." Her heart was hammering. "Jackson." His phone buzzed loudly, repeatedly. "The Singapore contracts." He pulled back, running his hand through his hair. "I should take this." "Yeah, you should." He grabbed his laptop and phone, heading toward his office, then stopped in the doorway. "Olivia." "Yes. This conversation isn't over." He left her standing in the kitchen at 2 a.m., heart racing, body trembling, mind completely unable to process what had just almost happened. She went back to her room, lay in bed staring at the ceiling. 1 year, she thought. This would be easy. Survive 12 months and move on. But nothing about Jackson Knight was easy. And the most dangerous part, she was starting to not want it to be. "Hello. I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together." It was also driving Olivia completely insane, because every time she closed her eyes, she saw him in that kitchen shirtless, close enough to kiss, saying, agreements can be renegotiated in that voice that made her stomach do backflips. This was supposed to be simple. 12-month business arrangement, exit strategy. But nothing about the way her body reacted to Jackson Knight was simple. Wednesday morning, Mrs. Chen cornered her at breakfast. "This is ridiculous," the house manager announced, setting down a plate of perfectly poached eggs. "What is ridiculous? You and Mr. Knight tiptoeing around each other like teenagers after an awkward first kiss." "We didn't kiss." "Exactly. That's the problem." Olivia choked on her coffee. "Mrs. Chen, I've worked for Mr. Knight for 5 years. I've never seen him like this, distracted, irritable. Yesterday he snapped at his assistant for bringing the wrong coffee order. He doesn't care about coffee orders. Maybe he's stressed about work. Has stressed about you. That's not my problem." Mrs. Chen sat down across from her, something she never did. "When the house manager broke protocol, you paid attention. I don't know what happened between you two. I don't need to know. But whatever this is, this avoiding each other, this pretending everything is fine, it's not working. We have an arrangement. Forget the arrangement. Mrs. Chen's voice was sharp. You're two people who clearly have feelings for each other, torturing yourselves because you're both too stubborn to admit it. I don't have feelings for him. Mrs. Chen just looked at her. I don't. Hez, arrogant and controlling, and he manipulated me into this marriage, and he researched your sister's interests, and he defended you to his ex-girlfriend, and he looks at you like you're the most fascinating thing he's ever seen. He looks at me like I'm a business acquisition. Then you're not paying attention. Olivia's phone buzzed. A text from Jackson. Tonight. Hartley Tech Conference. 7 p.m. Wear the emerald dress. We need to be seen together. JK, not please. Not if you're available. Just orders. She typed back. I have plans. His response was immediate. Cancel them. This is important. Olivia threw her phone on the table. See? Arrogant and controlling. Mrs. Chen picked up the phone, read the messages, and smiled. Hez terrified. Of what? Of what happens if he sees you in that emerald dress again? The emerald dress was the one Dominique had chosen last. It had a deep V-neck, a slit up to there, and somehow made Olivia look like a movie star and a businesswoman simultaneously. Jackson had barely glanced at it during the fitting, which meant Head noticed it more than he wanted to admit. Fine, Olivia said. I'll go, but only because I'm contractually obligated. Sure, Mrs. Chen said, not believing her for a second. Olivia spent 2 hours getting ready, hair in soft waves, makeup that looked effortless but took 40 minutes. The emerald dress that fit like a promise and a threat. When she came downstairs at 6:45, Jackson was waiting by the elevator. He was on his phone, frowning at something on the screen. Then he looked up and stopped breathing. Olivia watched him try to compose himself, watched his jaw tighten, watched his eyes darken as they traveled from her heels up the slit in her dress, across the neckline, to her face. You're early, he managed. You said 7. It's 6:45. I said 7 because I expected you to be late. I'm full of surprises. I'm learning that. In the car, the tension was suffocating. They sat on opposite sides of the back seat. Jackson stared out his window. Olivia stared out hers. The driver probably wanted to jump out at the next red light. The Hartley Tech Conference is important, Jackson said finally, his voice professionally neutral. Every major tech investor on the East Coast will be there. I need to announce my next acquisition. It's been in the works for months. What are you acquiring? An AI startup. Brilliant technology, terrible management. I'm buying them out, restructuring, and taking them public within 2 years. Sounds very corporate. It's what I do, right? Fix broken things. He turned to look at her. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. You said it yourself. You're good at seeing value where others see failure. You're good at fixing broken things, and you think you're broken. I think you married me because I was a problem you could solve. Jackson's expression hardened. That's not fair. Isn't it? My father had debts. I was the solution. Clean, simple, transactional. It's more complicated than that. Is it? Because every time things start feeling real between us, you retreat behind your walls and remind me this is just business. Because it is business. Then why did you almost kiss me in the kitchen? The car went silent. Even the driver seemed to stop breathing. Jackson's hands clenched into fists. That was a mistake. The words hit Olivia like a slap. Right. A mistake. Got it. Olivia. No, it's fine. I understand. We're business partners. Strategic assets to each other. Nothing more. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? He opened his mouth, closed it, stared at her with an expression that was equal parts frustration and something that looked painfully like longing. The car pulled up to the conference center before he could answer. Photographers swarmed immediately. Jackson's name generated headlines. Jackson with a surprise wife generated a media frenzy. He exited first, buttoning his tuxedo jacket, then extended his hand to help her out. Olivia took it because she had to, because this was the performance, the arrangement. Flashbulbs exploded. Questions shouted from every direction. Mr. Knight, how does it feel to be married? Olivia, what do you think about your husband's latest acquisition? Are you two planning children? How did you meet? Jackson's hand tightened on hers. He smiled for the cameras, that perfect, practiced, magazine cover smile. My wife and I are very happy, he said smoothly. We're not discussing personal details tonight. Thank you. He guided her inside with his hand at her back, professional, distant, everything they were supposed to be. Olivia wanted to scream. The conference center was packed with tech billionaires, venture capitalists, and people wearing hoodies that cost more than cars. Everyone wanted to talk to Jackson. Everyone wanted to be seen with Jackson. And everyone wanted to meet his mysterious new wife. For 2 hours, Olivia smiled until her face hurt. She made small talk about technology she didn't understand. She laughed at jokes that weren't funny. She played the role of devoted wife so convincingly that she almost forgot it was a role. Almost. Jackson was in his element, confident, charismatic, closing deals with handshakes, and that smile that made people trust him with millions. He was brilliant at this, and Olivia hated how attractive she found it. They were getting drinks when a man approached, tall, handsome in an obvious way, expensive suit, confidence that bordered on arrogance. Jackson Knight, he said, extending his hand. Marcus Chen, Quantum Ventures. I've been hoping to meet you, Marcus. Jackson shook his hand. I've heard about your work. Impressive portfolio. Likewise. Marcus turned to Olivia, his smile widening. And you must be the bride I've been reading about. Marcus Chen. Olivia. She shook his hand. His grip lasted a second too long. I have to say, Jackson, you're a lucky man. Your wife is stunning. I'm aware. Jackson's voice had gone cold. In fact, Marcus continued, oblivious or uncaring. I was just thinking, if you ever tire of the tech world, Olivia, Quantum Ventures is always looking for talented people, especially ones with marketing backgrounds. Thank you, Olivia said, surprised. I'll keep that in mind. Please do. Here's my card. He handed her a business card, his fingers brushing hers deliberately. Call me anytime, for professional reasons or otherwise. Jackson's hand landed on Olivia's waist, possessive, territorial. My wife isn't interested in your offers, Marcus. Professional or otherwise. Marcus laughed. No harm in asking. You can't blame me for trying. She's remarkable. He walked away, leaving tension thick enough to cut. That was rude, Olivia said quietly. He was hitting on you. He was offering me a job. He was doing both. I know his type. His type? You mean successful businessman? That sounds familiar. Jackson's eyes flashed. That's different. How? Because I didn't pursue you to sleep with you. Several people turned to stare. Jackson realized how loud had spoken. He grabbed Olivia's hand and pulled her toward a private hallway away from the crowd. What are you doing? She hissed. Keeping you from making a scene. I'm not the one yelling about sleeping together. They ended up in an empty conference room. Jackson closed the door and suddenly they were alone, really alone for the first time since the kitchen incident. You're being ridiculous, Olivia said, crossing her arms. I'm being protective. We're not really married. You don't get to be jealous. I'm not jealous. You're acting jealous. Because Marcus Chen is a predator who uses his position to manipulate young women. 3 of his former employees have NDAs about harassment. Olivia deflated slightly. Oh, yeah. Oh. Jackson ran his hand through his hair. I wasn't being territorial. I was being careful. You could have just told me that instead of acting like a caveman. You're right. I should have. They stood there breathing hard, staring at each other. This is exhausting, Olivia said finally. What is? This us pretending we don't feel anything when we clearly do. Pretending this is just business when it stopped being business weeks ago. Olivia, don't do the thing where you remind me about the arrangement and the exit strategy and how this is all just temporary. I know. I'm living it. But that doesn't change the fact that when you look at me, I forget how to breathe. And when you touch me, even casually, my entire body reacts. And when you almost kissed me in that kitchen, I wanted you to. I really, really wanted you to. Jackson stared at her like she'd just spoken a foreign language. Say something, she whispered. He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. His hands cupped her face, and then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't tentative. It was desperate and intense, and everything Olivia hadn't known she was craving. His lips moved against hers with purpose. One hand tangled in her hair, careful of the styling but possessive anyway. The other pulled her closer by her waist until their bodies were pressed together and she could feel his heartbeat racing as fast as hers. Olivia's hands found his shoulders, his neck, threading through his hair. She kissed him back with equal intensity, weeks of tension and denial, and wanting exploding into this one moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, foreheads pressed together, Jackson's voice was rough. That was unprofessional. Olivia laughed shakily. Extremely unprofessional. We should go back. We should. Neither of them moved. Olivia. Jackson's thumb traced her jaw. This complicates everything. I know. We have an arrangement. Rules. Boundaries. I know. And I just broke all of them. We both did. He kissed her again, softer this time, but no less devastating. When he pulled back, his gray eyes were dark with want and confusion, and something that looked terrifyingly like hope. What do we do now? Before Olivia could answer, the conference room door burst open. A woman stood there, beautiful, polished, wearing a designer dress and fury on her face. Melissa, Jackson's ex, the one who'd betrayed him, the reason he didn't trust anyone. Jackson. Her voice dripped with venom. We need to talk. Olivia felt Jackson's entire body go rigid. His hands dropped from her face. He stepped back, putting distance between them, his expression shuddering closed. Melissa. His voice was ice. What are you doing here? I work for Hartley Tech now. I'm on the acquisition team, which means I'm about to become your employee again. She smiled, sharp and calculating. Surprise. Jackson's jaw clenched so hard Olivia thought it might crack. The deal isn't finalized. Oh, it will be. You've invested too much time and money to back out now. And I made sure I was assigned to the transition team. We'll be working very closely together for months. Her eyes slid to Olivia. And you must be the new wife. How quaint. I give it 6 months before he gets bored. Get out. Jackson's voice was deadly quiet. We work together now, darling. You can't get rid of me that easily. Melissa's smile was poison. See you Monday morning. Conference room 3. 9 a.m. Sharp. Don't be late. She left, her perfume lingering like a threat. Olivia turned to Jackson. He was staring at the closed door, his hands in fists, his whole body vibrating with controlled rage. Jackson, don't. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. She's trying to manipulate me. It won't work. But the kiss. The kiss was a mistake, he said, the words cutting deeper than before. Just like I said in the car. You don't mean that. Jackson turned to face her. His expression was the cold professional mask she hated. The walls were back up thicker than ever. I do. This, he gestured between them, can't happen. It's too complicated, too messy. I have a business to run. You have a year to survive. Let's stick to the arrangement. But I'm going back to the conference. You can stay here or come with me. Your choice. He walked out without looking back. Olivia stood there, lipstick smudged, hair mussed, heart in pieces, and wondered how everything had gone so wrong so fast. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He'll never love you. He can't. Has too broken. But don't worry. I'll make sure you understand that very soon. Olivia deleted the message and straightened her dress, fixed her lipstick, composed her face. Then she walked back into the conference with her head high and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. If Jackson wanted to pretend nothing had happened, fine. Two could play that game. But the kiss had happened, and it had changed everything, whether he admitted it or not. The ride home was silent, arctic. Jackson stared at his phone. Olivia stared out the window. The driver probably wished Head called in sick. At the penthouse, they went to their separate wings without speaking. Olivia lay in bed replaying the kiss. Melissa's arrival, Jackson's retreat. Her phone buzzed. Another message from Melissa. He kissed you the same way he kissed me. The same way hell kissed the next one. You're not special, you're just convenient. Olivia blocked the number, but the words stayed, burrowing under her skin like splinters. At 3 a.m., she heard Jackson's door open, footsteps in the hallway, then silence. She found him in the kitchen again, same spot as before. Shirtless, coffee, laptop. "Can't sleep?" she asked. He looked up, surprised, wary. "Dealing with the Hartley situation." "By situation, you mean Melissa?" His jaw tightened. "Yes." Olivia sat across from him. "She texted me twice. Threatening messages about how I'm not special and you'll never love me." Jackson's knuckles went white on his coffee mug. "What did she say exactly? Does it matter? She's trying to get in my head. She's trying to prove she still has power over you. She doesn't. Then why did you shut down the second she appeared? Stop hiding behind your walls and your rules and your arrangements. You kissed me, you meant it. And the only reason you're calling it a mistake is because you're terrified of what? Of feeling something real?" Jackson stood so fast his chair fell backward. "You don't know what you're talking about, don't I?" Olivia stood too, facing him across the counter. "Melissa hurt you. Your father rejected you. Everyone you've trusted has betrayed you. So you built this perfect, controlled life where everything is a transaction and nothing can hurt you. That's not. But I'm not a transaction, Jackson. I'm a person. And what I feel for you isn't part of our arrangement. It's real. It's messy. It's terrifying, but it's real. We have 3 more months." His voice was hoarse. 3 months and then you're free. Don't complicate this. It's already complicated. Then maybe we should end it early. Pay off the debt. Get the divorce now. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. She refused to let them fall. "Is that what you want?" Jackson looked at her, really looked at her, and for a moment she saw everything he was feeling, the want, the fear, the hope, the terror. "I don't know what I want anymore," he whispered. "Yes, you do. You're just too scared to admit it." She left him standing in the kitchen, went back to her room, locked the door, and finally let herself cry. The next morning, Olivia woke to voices in the hallway, Jackson's voice and another man's. She opened her door to find Jackson talking to his lawyer. Both men looked grim. "What's going on?" she asked. Jackson turned. He looked like he hadn't slept. His hair was messy. His eyes were red. "The prenup," he said quietly. "There's a clause I forgot about from my father's trust." "What clause?" The lawyer cleared his throat. "Mr. Knight's inheritance is contingent on maintaining his marriage for a full year. If the marriage ends before then, he loses controlling interest in his company." Olivia's stomach dropped. "What?" "My father put it in the trust before he died." Jackson's voice was hollow. "A final attempt to control me. I thought he'd removed it, but apparently there's a codicil that survived. So if we divorce early, I lose everything I've built. My company, my acquisitions, my investors lose millions. Hundreds of employees lose their jobs. And if we stay married, then we're locked in for 3 more months, with Melissa trying to destroy us, with the media watching our every move, with these feelings making everything impossible." Olivia looked at him, at the man she'd been kissing just hours ago. The man Hod called it a mistake. The man who was trapped in this marriage as much as she was. "So what do we do?" Jackson's eyes met hers, empty, defeated. "We survive. Like we always have." But standing there in the hallway, watching him disappear into his office with his lawyer, Olivia wondered if survival was going to be enough, or if they'd both already lost something far more important than money or reputation or carefully constructed arrangements. They'd lost the chance to be real. And once you lost that, could you ever get it back? The next 2 weeks were a special kind of torture. Jackson left for work before dawn, came home after midnight, communicated through emails that were professionally cordial and emotionally empty. When they did see each other at the occasional business dinner, at a charity event, in passing in the hallway, they were polite, distant, strangers who happened to share a last name and a zip code. The kiss might as well have never happened, except Olivia thought about it constantly. In the shower, during class, while trying to sleep the way Jackson's hands had felt in her hair, the desperate sound Head made against her lips, the look in his eyes, right before Melissa had ruined everything. Melissa, who was now a constant presence in Jackson's life, conference calls, strategy meetings, the Hartley Tech acquisition that forced them to work together daily. Olivia knew because Mrs. Chen kept her informed. The house manager had appointed herself unofficial spy and mediator, reporting back with worried updates. "Hess not sleeping," Mrs. Chen said one morning, setting down Olivia's coffee with more force than necessary. "Hes barely eating. Yesterday he snapped at 3 different employees. This is ridiculous." "Then maybe he should stop avoiding me," Olivia muttered. "Maybe you should stop avoiding him." "I'm not avoiding him. Hes avoiding me. You're both avoiding each other. It's like watching 2 magnets fight their own attraction. Exhausting and pointless." Olivia's phone buzzed. Another text from Melissa. The woman had created multiple numbers after Olivia kept blocking her. "Jackson's working late again with me in his office alone. Just like old times. Sweet dreams." Olivia threw her phone across the room. It bounced off a throw pillow. Even in rage, the penthouse's expensive furniture protected itself. "That woman is unhinged," she told Mrs. Chen. "That woman is desperate. There's a difference." Mrs. Chen picked up the phone, read the message, and frowned. "But she's also lying." "How do you know?" "Because Mr. Knight's office has glass walls. Nothing that happens there is private. If she's texting you about being alone with him, she's trying to make you jealous." "Well, it's working." "Then do something about it." "Like what? Storm into his office and demand he pay attention to me? We have an arrangement, remember? Business only, no feelings, no complications. That ship sailed when he kissed you. He called it a mistake because he's terrified. Men like Jackson Knight, men who've been hurt, who've built walls, who control everything, they don't know what to do when something real threatens to break through, so they panic. They retreat. They convince themselves that feeling nothing is safer than risking everything." Olivia slumped in her chair. "So what do I do?" "You decide if he's worth fighting for, and if he is, you fight." Mrs. Chen squeezed her shoulder. "But you have to fight smart. That woman is playing psychological warfare. Don't let her win." That afternoon, Olivia went to Columbia for her seminar, Modern Marketing Strategies. Usually she loved this class. Today she couldn't focus. Professor Reynolds was discussing brand authenticity when Olivia's phone buzzed again. She ignored it. It buzzed 3 more times. She finally checked during the break. 4 texts from Rachel, her best friend. Olivia Harper Knight. "Check page 6 right now. I'm coming over. Do not panic." The do not panic instruction guaranteed Olivia would absolutely panic. She opened page 6. The headline made her blood run cold. "Trouble in Paradise? Jackson Knight's ex, Melissa Parker, joins his company. Sources say new wife. Threatened by return of old flame." Below it, photos of Jackson and Melissa leaving his office building together, getting into the same car, looking at each other through the car window. The photos were taken from angles that made them look intimate, romantic, like 2 people with history and chemistry. The article was worse. Sources close to the couple say that Olivia Harper Knight, the marketing student who married billionaire Jackson Knight in a whirlwind ceremony just weeks ago, is increasingly insecure about her husband's professional relationship with ex-girlfriend Melissa Parker. Parker, who dated Knight for 2 years before their dramatic breakup, has recently joined the tech startup Knight is acquiring, forcing the former lovers to work in close proximity. One insider claims, "Olivia doesn't understand Jackson's world. She's young, inexperienced, out of her depth. Melissa knows him better than anyone. There's still chemistry there. Everyone can see it." When asked about the rumored tension, Knight's representatives declined to comment. Parker, however, told page 6, "Jackson and I have a complicated history, but we're both professionals. If his wife feels threatened by our working relationship, that's something she'll need to work through. Mature relationships require trust." Olivia wanted to throw up. The photos, the quotes, the narrative that she was some insecure child bride threatened by Jackson's sophisticated ex. Her phone rang. "Rachel, don't believe a word of that garbage," Rachel said immediately. "It's clearly a hit piece. That woman planted those photos in that story. But what if it's true? What if Jackson is not hooking up with his ex? Trust me, I've seen the way that man looks at you. At the gala last month when you were talking to that investor, he watched you like you were the only person in the room. That was before everything fell apart. Nothing has fallen apart except your communication. Liv, you need to talk to him. Really talk. Not through Mrs. Chen. Not through lawyers. Face to face. He doesn't want to talk to me. Then make him. After she hung up, Olivia sat in the Columbia courtyard, staring at the article, reading the comments. She's way too young for him. This marriage won't last. Gold digger probably panicking now that the ex is back. Team Melissa, they were perfect together. Jackson Knight could do so much better. Each comment was a small knife cutting deeper than the last. Her phone rang again. This time Jackson. She answered, her voice shakier than shed-like. I saw the article. I know. My PR team is handling it. Your PR team can't handle this, Jackson. This is Melissa systematically destroying my reputation to get back at you. I'm aware of what she's doing. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're letting her do it. You're working with her every day. You're in cars with her. You're giving her exactly what she wants, access to you. The acquisition closes in 3 weeks. After that, she's gone. 3 weeks. Jackson. She's been texting me, threatening me, sending me pictures of you two together. What pictures? Office photos, car photos, photos that look like you're together. Silence on the line. Then, forward them to me. All of them. Why? Because if she's harassing you, I'm ending this. I don't care about the acquisition. I don't care about the money. Nobody threatens you. The fierce protectiveness in his voice made Olivia's throat tight. Jackson, I have to go. I have a meeting, but Olivia, stay away from page 6. Stay away from the comments. None of that is real. Then what is real? The question hung between them like a challenge. I don't know anymore, he said quietly. But I'm trying to figure it out. He hung up before she could respond. That evening, Olivia was getting ready for another business dinner some tech investor Jackson needed to impress when Rachel showed up at the penthouse with wine, takeout, and determination. Mrs. Chen, let me up, Rachel announced, marching into Olivia's room. We're having an intervention. I don't need an intervention. You're married to a man you're in love with, living in separate wings of a penthouse, avoiding each other like you're in a tragic Victorian novel. You absolutely need an intervention. I'm not in love with him. Rachel just looked at her. I'm not. We barely know each other. It's been 2 months. Liv, I've known you since freshman year. I've seen you date nice guys, boring guys, exciting guys, terrible guys. I've never seen you look at anyone the way you look at Jackson Knight. How do I look at him? Like he's the answer to a question you didn't know you were asking. Olivia sat down on her bed, suddenly exhausted. It doesn't matter how I feel. He doesn't want this. He wants the arrangement, the rules, the exit strategy. Does he? Or is he just scared? Mrs. Chen said the same thing. Mrs. Chen is a wise woman. Rachel poured them both wine. Listen, here's what I see. You're both miserable. You're both clearly crazy about each other. You're both too stubborn to admit it. Meanwhile, his psycho ex is actively trying to destroy your marriage, and you're letting her win by doing nothing. What am I supposed to do? Fight for him? Show him that I'm not going anywhere? That I'm not scared of Melissa or his walls or whatever else he's hiding behind, and if he rejects me, then at least you'll know. But right now you're in limbo, and limbo is torture. They ate Chinese food and drank wine and watched terrible reality TV. When Rachel finally left around 11, Olivia felt marginally better. She changed into pajamas and was about to go to bed when she heard shouting from downstairs. Jackson's voice. Loud. Angry. She grabbed a robe and went to investigate. Jackson was in his office on a video call with what looked like his entire legal team. His hair was a mess. His tie was gone. He looked furious. I don't care what the contract says, he was yelling at the screen. I want her removed from the acquisition team today. A lawyer's voice came through the speakers. Mr. Knight, we can't remove her without cause. She hasn't done anything actionable. She's harassing my wife. She's leaking false stories to the press. She's actively trying to sabotage my marriage. None of that is provable in court. Then find a way to make it provable. That's what I pay you for." He noticed Olivia in the doorway. His expression shifted from fury to something more complicated. "I'll call you back," he told the lawyers, ending the call. They stared at each other across his office. "I heard yelling," Olivia said. "I'm trying to get Melissa removed from the acquisition. It's not going well because she hasn't technically done anything illegal. Because she's smart." He rubbed his face. "I'm sorry about the article, the photos, all of it. It's not your fault." "It is. I brought her back into our lives by acquiring that company. I should have walked away the second I found out she worked there." "You can't walk away from a deal worth millions because of your ex." "Yes, I can. I'm walking away tomorrow." Olivia's eyes widened. "Jackson, no. You've worked on this for months." "I don't care. You're more important than any acquisition." The words landed like a bomb. "In what?" Jackson stood from his desk, moving around it to stand in front of her. "Close. Not touching, but close." "You're more important," he repeated, "than the money, the deal, the optics, all of it. You're more important, Olivia. Since when? Since you walked down that aisle in that ridiculous wedding dress and married me to save your family. Since you argued with me over breakfast and showed up late just to prove you could. Since you wore that blue dress and looked at me like maybe I wasn't a monster. Since you kissed me back and made me feel something I thought I'd never feel again." Olivia's heart was racing. What feeling? Hope. That maybe I could be more than the walls I've built, more than the transactions and the strategies and the careful control. He stepped closer. "You make me want to be reckless, and I hate it, and I can't stop thinking about it." "Jackson, let me finish, please." He took a shaky breath. "When I called that kiss a mistake, I lied. It wasn't a mistake. It was the most honest thing I've done in years, but it terrified me because if I let myself care about you, really care, then I have something to lose. And I've spent my entire adult life making sure I never have anything I can't afford to lose. But, you're already under my skin, in my head, making me question everything I thought I knew about what I want and who I'm supposed to be." His hand came up, hovering near her face, not quite touching. "I'm terrible at this, at feelings, at being vulnerable, at admitting when I'm wrong. But I'm trying for you. Because you're worth trying for." Tears pricked Olivia's eyes. "You're such an idiot." He smiled slightly. "I know. I've been miserable for 2 weeks, crying in my room, avoiding you, hating Melissa, second-guessing everything. I'm sorry. Shut up. I'm not done." She stepped closer, closing the distance between them. "You're not the only one who's scared. I'm terrified of these feelings, of how fast they happened, of the fact that in 2 months you've become the most important person in my life. And I don't know how that happened. Olivia, I love you, Jackson. I'm in love with you. And before you panic and retreat behind your walls again, just know that I'm not asking you to say it back. I'm not asking you to feel the same way. I'm just telling you the truth, because I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of the arrangement and the rules and the careful distance. I want the messy, complicated, terrifying real thing with you, if you want it too." Jackson stared at her like she'd just spoken an alien language. Then he kissed her. Not tentatively, not carefully, but like she was oxygen and had been drowning. His hands framed her face, angling her head for better access. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss was desperate and sweet and everything their first kiss had been, but more, because this time there were no walls, no pretending, just truth. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jackson pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you too," he whispered. "I've been in love with you for weeks. Maybe since that first day when you showed up late to breakfast just to spite me. Maybe since you improvised that charity auction story. Maybe since you wore that emerald dress and looked at me like I was someone worth looking at. I don't know when it happened, I just know that it did." Olivia laughed and cried simultaneously. "We're so bad at this, the worst." He kissed her again, softer. "But I want to get better with you. What about the arrangement, the rules? Forget the arrangement, forget the rules. I want real, messy, complicated, terrifying real with you." They stood there holding each other, kissing occasionally, both smiling like idiots. "So what happens now?" Olivia asked. "Now I cancel the Hartley acquisition. I remove Melissa from my life permanently. And I take my wife on an actual date." "A date? How scandalous. I'm a changed man. I'm reckless now. Very reckless. What would your shareholders think?" "I don't care what my shareholders think. I care what you think." She kissed him again because she could, because he was hers, because the pretending was finally over. The next morning, Jackson called an emergency board meeting. Olivia insisted on coming with him. "You don't have to," he said as they got dressed. "This could get ugly. We're a team, remember? I'm not letting you face Melissa alone." His smile was worth everything. A team. I like that. The Knight Enterprises boardroom was intimidating, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, a table that seated 30, and currently 12 board members looking confused about why they'd been summoned on 2 hours' notice. Melissa sat at the far end of the table, looking smug and perfectly composed. Jackson stood at the head of the table, Olivia beside him. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," he began. "I'm withdrawing from the Hartley Tech acquisition." Chaos erupted. Board members started talking over each other. Questions flew. Melissa's smug expression turned to shock. "This deal has been in the works for 8 months, one board member protested. "We've invested millions in due diligence. And, well, recoup those losses elsewhere," Jackson said calmly. "The acquisition is no longer aligned with our strategic goals." "Since when?" Another board member demanded. "Since I discovered that a member of the transition team has been engaging in harassment, defamation, and corporate espionage." All eyes turned to Melissa. She recovered quickly, her expression turning ice cold. "That's a serious accusation, Jackson. I hope you have proof." "I do." He nodded to his chief legal counsel, who distributed folders to each board member. "Screenshots of text messages sent to my wife, time-stamped phone records, evidence that Miss Parker leaked false information to Page 6, and testimony from 3 of her former colleagues documenting a pattern of harassment." Melissa's face went pale. "Those texts were private. Those texts were harassment, and you sent them from a corporate phone, which gives us legal standing to review them." Jackson's voice was steel. "You wanted to destroy my marriage to get back at me for leaving you. Instead, you've destroyed your career. You can't prove I can, and I will, unless you resign immediately and sign an NDA agreeing never to contact me or my wife again." Melissa stood shaking with rage. "You're making a mistake, Jackson. Throwing away millions for her? She's nobody. She's my wife, and she's worth more than every acquisition I've ever made." He took Olivia's hand. "You're done here, Melissa. Security will escort you out." 2 security guards appeared at the door. Melissa looked around the table, searching for allies. Found none. Everyone had seen the evidence. "This isn't over," she hissed at Jackson. "Yes, it is." His voice was final. "Goodbye, Melissa." She left, escorted by security, her heels clicking angrily against the marble floor. The board meeting continued for another hour, questions about the financial impact, discussion of alternative investments. Eventually, everyone agreed that walking away from a toxic acquisition was better than proceeding. When they finally left the building, Olivia felt lighter than she had in weeks. "That was incredible," she told Jackson as they got into the car. "That was expensive. I just walked away from a $30 million deal. But you protected us. Protected our marriage. That's worth more than money." He kissed her right there in the back of the car, not caring if anyone saw. "I have something to tell you," he said when they broke apart. "More secrets?" "One more. The prenup, the clause about my father's trust. The one that says we have to stay married for a year or I lose everything. I had my lawyers check it. Turns out the clause only applies if the marriage is dissolved without mutual consent." Olivia frowned. "I don't understand." "It means if we both want the divorce, the trust can't contest it. My father designed it to prevent me from being forced out of a marriage, not to trap me in one." He took her hand. "Which means you're free right now. If you want to leave, you can. The debt is forgiven. Your family is safe. You can walk away any time." Olivia's heart stopped. Are you asking me to leave? I'm telling you that you have a choice. Real choice. Not the forced arrangement from before. If you stay, it's because you want to, because you choose me, not because you're trapped. She looked at him, this man who'd started as a stranger, become an adversary, transformed into something she couldn't live without. I choose you, she said simply. Every time. Always. His smile was blinding. Yeah? Yeah. She kissed him. But I have some conditions. Of course you do. No more separate wings. We share a bedroom like actual married people. Done. No more hiding feelings. If you're upset, you tell me. If I'm upset, I tell you. We communicate like adults. Agreed. And you have to meet my friends. All of them, including Rachel, who will absolutely interrogate you about your intentions. I can handle that. One more thing. Name it. We renew our vows. A real ceremony with our families. No business arrangements, no contracts, just us promising to choose each other for real. Jackson's eyes were suspiciously shiny. I would love nothing more. They kissed again, both laughing, both crying a little, both finally completely happy. 3 months later, the vow renewal ceremony was everything the first wedding wasn't. Small, intimate, real, held on the penthouse terrace with fairy lights and flowers and 30 people who actually cared about them. Olivia wore a simple white dress she'd chosen herself, no $4,000. Disasters, just something that made her feel beautiful. Jackson wore a navy suit and looked at her like she'd hung the moon. Her parents were there, tearful and apologetic and genuinely happy for her. Her sisters were bridesmaids, thrilled to be part of a real wedding this time. Jackson's mother came from Seattle. She and Jackson had reconciled after she reached out following the Page 6 article. Turns out his father's death had made her reevaluate what mattered. Rachel was maid of honor, crying happy tears and whispering "I told you so" every chance she got. Mrs. Chen officiated because she'd gotten licensed online specifically for this ceremony. I've watched these two idiots fall in love while pretending they weren't, she told the guests. I've seen them argue over breakfast, avoid each other in hallways, and generally make their feelings everyone's problem except each other's. It's been exhausting but also beautiful. Because real love isn't easy. It's messy and complicated and terrifying. But it's worth it. These two are worth it. When it was time for vows, Jackson went first. Olivia, you crashed into my carefully controlled life like a hurricane in a wedding dress. You argued with everything I said, showed up late to everything I planned, cut up my expensive scissors without apology, and somehow in the process of driving me completely insane, you became the best thing that ever happened to me. People laughed. Olivia was crying. I spent my whole life thinking love was weakness, that caring about someone gave them power to hurt you. But you taught me that love isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing we can do, choosing someone every day, even when it's scary. Especially when it's scary. He took her hands. So I choose you today, tomorrow, every day after, not because a contract says I have to, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it. You're my best argument, my favorite complication, my home. Olivia was full-on sobbing now. How am I supposed to follow that? Everyone laughed. She took a shaky breath. Jackson, 2 months ago you blackmailed me into marrying you to save my family. Romantically phrased, he murmured. Shut up. I'm not done. You blackmailed me into marrying you, and I hated you for it. You were arrogant and controlling, and you treated me like a business acquisition. But somewhere between the forced shopping trips and the awkward business dinners and the 2 a.m. kitchen conversations, I fell in love with you. She squeezed his hands. Not the you that you show the world, the real you, the one who researches my sister's hobbies, who protects me from creepy investors, who kisses me like I'm precious, who's terrible at feelings but tries anyway because I'm worth trying for. You are, he whispered. You're worth everything. So I choose you too, the messy, complicated, beautifully broken real you. Not the arrangement, not the performance, just us. Mrs. Chen pronounced them married again. Jackson kissed her, and this time it felt like a beginning instead of a transaction. The reception was perfect, dancing and champagne and terrible toasts from Rachel that revealed way too many embarrassing college stories. At one point, Olivia found Jackson on the terrace looking out at the Manhattan skyline. "Hiding from your own party?" she asked. "Just taking a moment. It's everything I didn't know I wanted." She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "No regrets about you? Never about you. Sometimes about walking away from that acquisition. 30 million is 30 million. She hit his arm playfully. "You're terrible. You love me anyway." "I really do. It's a character flaw." He turned in her arms, pulling her close. "I have something for you." "More gifts?" "You already paid off my student loans." "This is different." He pulled out a small box. Inside a key. "What's this key to?" "My office. The one with the glass walls. I want you to have access to my workspace, my business, my whole life. No more separate wings, no more walls." Olivia's throat was tight. "Jackson, I'm terrible at this, at being open, at letting people in, but I want to be better for you. So here's my office, my schedule, my passwords, everything, because I trust you with all of it." She kissed him slow and sweet and full of promise. "I have something for you too," she said. "Oh?" She pulled out a paper from her clutch acceptance letter to the marketing director position at Knight Enterprises. His eyes widened. "You applied?" "Your HR director reached out. Said you were hiring for a position that required someone who could handle difficult executives with grace and strategic thinking." "I figured she meant you." Jackson laughed. "Working together. That won't be complicated at all. We specialize in complicated. That we do." They stood there holding each other, watching the city lights, both thinking about how far they'd come from a forced arrangement to a real marriage, from strangers to partners, from pretending to feel nothing to admitting they felt everything. "Hey, Jackson," Olivia said softly. "Yeah? Thank you for blackmailing me into marrying you." He smiled against her hair. "Best business decision I ever made. Worst business decision. Best life decision. I can live with that." They went back inside to their party, to their friends and family, to their messy, complicated, perfectly imperfect life together. And when Jackson pulled Olivia onto the dance floor for the last song of the night, she finally understood what Mrs. Chen had meant about fighting for what you want. Sometimes love is a battlefield. Sometimes it's a negotiation. Sometimes it's a carefully constructed arrangement that turns into something real. But always, always it's worth fighting for. Even if you have to marry the person first and fall in love later. Especially then. Epilogue. 6 months later, "You're late," Jackson said as Olivia rushed into the conference room. "I'm 3 minutes late. Still late. I was dealing with the Henderson account that you dumped on me this morning. You said you wanted more responsibility." "I said I wanted interesting responsibility, not cleaning up your messes." The entire marketing team watched their exchange with barely concealed amusement. Everyone at Knight Enterprises knew that the CEO and the marketing director argued constantly. Everyone also knew they were disgustingly in love. "Can we focus?" Olivia said, pulling up her presentation. "The rebrand proposal for the Chen acquisition is brilliant," Jackson interrupted as always. "Approved. Moving on." She glared at him. "You didn't even look at it." "I don't need to. I trust your judgment." "That's actually really sweet." "Don't tell anyone. I have a reputation to maintain." After the meeting, they walked back to Jackson's office together, a routine they'd developed. Working in the same building meant stolen moments throughout the day. Coffee breaks. Lunch meetings that were actually dates. Quick kisses in empty hallways. It drove HR crazy. It made them deliriously happy. "Dinner tonight?" Jackson asked as they reached his office. "Can't girls' night with Rachel and Sophie. You're on your own, abandoned by my own wife. Tragic. You'll survive. Mrs. Chen is making your favorite. Mrs. Chen loves you more than me now. Everyone loves me more than you. I'm delightful." He pulled her into his office, closing the door behind them. "You are infuriatingly delightful." He kissed her, the kind of kiss that made her forget they were at work. the kind that made her remember why marrying this man was the best accidental decision she'd ever made. "I love you," he said against her lips. "I love you too, even when you dump accounts on me. Especially then." Her phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. "Stop making out with your husband at work and confirm dinner location." Olivia laughed. How does she always know? Because we're predictable. We're happy. Same thing. As Olivia left his office to actually do her job, she caught sight of their wedding photo on Jackson's desk, the real one from the vow renewal, both of them laughing, foreheads pressed together, looking at each other like they'd discovered something precious, which they had. Love wasn't the carefully constructed arrangement they'd started with. It was the messy, complicated, real thing they'd built together, one argument at a time, one kiss at a time, one choice at a time. And every single day they chose each other again and again and again. The end.